Bill O'Reilly interviewed Dick Cheney yesterday, and you know how we always joke around that Bill O'Reilly is right about maybe one thing per year? Well, this is that thing. I think he did a fantastic job in this interview. I chopped it down a little bit, but let's listen and then we'll talk about it.
But our first segment deals with Iraq and Afghanistan. Some facts. Iraq, Americans killed in that country, more than 4,000, wounded more than 30,000. The Iraq War, which lasted 8.5 years, cost nearly $1 trillion. Afghanistan, Americans KIA, 1,782. U.S. troops wounded close to 20,000. Cost of the war about $750 billion so far. It is expected most U.S. forces will be out of Afghanistan by the end of 2014. Here now, one of the chief architects of the Iraq and Afghanistan campaigns, Dick Cheney. What did we get out of Iraq, though? I mean, as Americans, we're all in it together. We're all in it together. It's easy to finger point. They finger pointed you and Bush, and I don't want to do that. But we spent $1 trillion on this with a lot of pain and suffering on the American military. What did we get out of it?
Well,
beside Saddam being out of there,
yeah.
What?
But remember what we were faced with in the immediate aftermath of 9/11. We had a lot of evidence to indicate that, in fact, al-Qaeda was trying to get their hands on weapons of mass destruction. We had in Saddam Hussein a guy who had produced and used weapons of mass destruction.
Okay, all of that, and I supported it. And exactly. I don't blame you, Vice President Cheney or President Bush, for doing what you did. I mean, I'm not back Monday morning quarterbacking. But what right now? What do we get out of Iraq for all that blood and treasure? What do we get out of it?
What we gained, and my concern was then, and it remains today, is that the biggest threat we face is the possibility of terrorist groups like al-Qaeda equipped with weapons of mass destruction, with nukes, bugs, or gas. That was the threat after 9/11, and when we took down Saddam Hussein, we eliminated Iraq as a potential source of that.
Al-Qaeda in Mesopotamia is back?
That's right, but they wouldn't be if they'd followed our policies that we laid out for them when we left.
Okay.
But also, let me finish.
Sure.
In terms of what we got out of it, we took down Saddam as a major source. 5 days after we got Saddam, Muammar Gaddafi announced he was going to surrender his nuclear materials, and he had centrifuges, he had a weapons design, he had the uranium feedstock, and after we took care of that, we took down A.Q. Khan, who was his major supplier, the father of the Pakistan program. It was running a black market operation. We've put him out of business. We got rid of 3 major sources of potential proliferation of nuclear weapons. Very important.
Okay. But right now, Iraq looks to me, and this is the headline in Washington Post today, nearly 2 years after the U.S. troop withdrawal, Iraq's in the midst of a deepening security crisis as an al-Qaeda affiliate wages a relentless campaign of attacks. So while you're correct in a bigger picture, I don't know if the suffering and blood was worth it.
The U.S. withdrawal from that part of the world is significantly diminished our capacity, so that whether we're trying to deal with the situation in Syria or the situation in Iran, they don't pay any attention anymore.
Okay, so again, you have a policy difference with the Obama administration, is that you wouldn't withdraw, you'd stay. But by staying, we are paying so much money, and the suffering on our military people is so high. But again, we're all Americans, we're all in this together. It looks to me like the Taliban is going to reconstitute and cause so much trouble in Afghanistan, it's going to become a chaotic mess.
But the last time the Taliban took control in Afghanistan, they had bases that trained 20,000 terrorists.
And I think they're going to do that again. Don't you think they're going to do that again?
In addition to 19 hijackers who came here with airline tickets and box cutters and killed 3,000 Americans.
I got it. But aren't they going to do that again?
So what? We just sit back and don't worry about it?
No, but I'm asking you, if we're withdrawing and they're going to do it again, as it seems likely they will.
Very real danger of that.
What do we get out of it?
Very well, what do you get out of it if you withdraw and you let that happen again, Bill?
Boom. Look, at the end there, that's the key admission from Cheney. And I get it. Hypocrisy. Bill O'Reilly was one of the biggest buffoons and chief propagandists cheerleading for the war in Iraq beforehand. And of course, what he's saying now doesn't excuse how, he was 100% for it back then and really affected the debate and the conversation in the United States. I get all that, and I totally agree with that. But you have to admit, in this interview, he does do a pretty good job. And I mean, think about it within the context of the right-wing talkers, right? Glenn Beck would have blown Dick Cheney. Rush Limbaugh would have rolled out a red carpet and tickled Dick Cheney's scrotum and sung lullabies to him and tucked him in at night and kissed him on the forehead. Mark Levin, Michael Savage, Sean Hannity, all these guys would have absolutely done a sloppy blowjob of an interview. At least Bill O'Reilly was persistent. And because Bill was so persistent in saying, what do we get out of it? What do we get out of it? You know, I don't know if it was worth the whole blood and treasure. I don't know if it was worth the whole blood and treasure. He got Cheney to admit at the end that he doesn't ever want to withdraw from Afghanistan and the Middle East. He wants American empire. He's arguing for imperialism. He's arguing for essentially the same thing that Britain was doing in India and Britain did all around the world with all these, colonialization. This is exactly what Dick Cheney's arguing for. And because Bill O'Reilly, who was in that Republican bubble with Dick Cheney, because he disarmed him, because of course Cheney thought he was going to get a softball interview, he got Dick Cheney to admit at the end there, oh, I mean, what are we going to do? Withdraw if something bad happens? Just stay there. You got to stay there. For how long? Because whenever you withdraw, something bad could happen in Afghanistan or Iraq or anywhere else. It could always something bad could happen. It's not our business. It's none of our business. But Dick Cheney's saying it is our business because we are an empire, because we run the world. And by the way, don't get misled here, because Fox News does this all the time. When somebody like Shep Smith or Chris Wallace will be reasonable, right? And every once in a while, Bill O'Reilly does it, like here. And the reason why they do that is to regain credibility, so that they can turn around later and say, no, we're nothing like, WABC radio, right-wing talkers like Rush Limbaugh and Mark Levin and all those guys. No, we are a high-minded news organization. See, Bill O'Reilly did this one tough interview with Dick Cheney, so lay off us. No, that doesn't excuse all the other propaganda that you've done.